of 1,000 voices. The last known Ahamkara. She has been taken, and her death is your calling.
In August, Schultz is woken up by a dozen federal agents banging on the door to arrest him on sex crime charges. They had not yet indicted him on anything related to the cases. When he hears that the government is trying to keep him in custody, he objects and says the crime I am charged with is in fact a non-violent, victimless crime. As Schultz sits in the Manhattan jail waiting for trial, a block away, FBI agents working out of the Manhattan field office need to collect the Vault 7 release for the trial.
Chat, this gonna sound like one of those like often 4chan videos. Not the normal 4chan user base. Like one of those like radicalized like morons.
There's a problem. Documents
You are found here, brother slayer, spawn killer.
But think about it though.
All that strength and still nothing to continue to be awoken
FBI agents tasked with collecting the
You could be so much more. All you need to do is wish it.
and then go to a Starbucks
Come.
and use their free public
I
Wi-Fi
would quite
to
like
download
to
the
meet you.
entirety of declassified CIA documents. In May 2018, news finally breaks on Joshua Schultz's arrest, but he's still not indicted on anything related to the Vault 7 release, with the New York Times headlining him as a suspect, pretty much immediately. Online posters, WikiLeaks advocates, and just general skeptics begin picking apart the allegations against him by the FBI regarding the child abuse material. Like the old Chappelle bit, just sprinkle some crack on him. It's like, just sprinkle some allegations on him. Get the public to hate him from the jump, so he doesn't turn into some whistleblowing hero. It's a compelling theory, or at least it would be if Joshua Schultz wasn't also a bit of a fucking idiot. Instead of playing into this obvious theory many would believe, Schultz's defense for having this material on his computer was that he ran a server in college that was essentially open to all of his friends, and he simply didn't know what files other users had uploaded. The next month,
Sure. But then he has that on his computer? Okay, you guys, didn't they pull that from an encrypted file or whatever? I mean,
what files other users had uploaded.
why would that one directory be encrypted?
The next month,
It's the one that
government
has that on
finally
its
indicts Schultz
on
for the
land.
WikiLeaks releases, with 10 new charges ranging from illegal gathering of national defense information and theft of government property to obstruction of justice and making false. The trial for these charges FBI agents raid the den, take his cell phone, and throw his ass in solitary confinement. Also made a telegraph between torturing him and claiming that this service received better treatment in Guantanamo Bay. I have seen it.
You have my thanks, Guardians. But my sister remains enthralled.
After being stripped of his administrative privileges,
What is it you want?
Schultz still
Weapon.
kept a secret backdoor
Glory.
to the OSB network. On
Peace.
April 20th, 2016,
Or is it
Schultz
simpler
accessed
than that?
backdoor using the password KingJosh3000. While logged in, he accessed one specific backup, the March 3rd, 2016 backup of the OSB tools. He then attempted to scrub his log files and restore the network. As it turns out, the Vault 7 release on WikiLeaks to this day is a perfect match to that March 3rd backup. But despite this, and some more circumstantial evidence, Schultz was only convicted on 2 counts, contempt of court and making false statements to the FBI. The reason for this seems to be that Schultz was big job at self-evaluating his case. and also that the technicalities of the entire case were fucking confusing, especially to random jurors who might not even own a computer. So the judge declared a mistrial with a retrial scheduled for 2022. In the meantime, Schultz decided he could defend himself. So he fired the defense attorney that managed to get him a hung jury and began spending the next 2 years learning how to properly defend himself in court.
I think so.
No?
He
No
was
way he wins that.
convicted on all charges. During
Yeah,
his
no
sentence,
shit,
he
dude.
allegedly
I
ran
really do like
29
Final
minutes,
Blast. Again,
calling the jail
people
his
just say
house
Spike
did,
Note.
New York's own Auschwitz, and comparing himself to Nelson Mandela. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison. When news about Schultz first started hitting the media, Patrick Keith from the New Yorker talked to a couple of his
Do you
former
remember
What he
your first
found was that
video?
Schultz had a history of being incredibly edgy and sexually deviant, always touching people when asked not to, and would even go as far as to draw swastikas in Jewish students' yearbooks. Not because he was an actual Nazi or racist, but really just because he liked pissing people off. It's hard to imagine
Got it.
that the most powerful intelligence agency in history didn't know about this, or knew about it, and still hired this guy. The CIA may have never even realized that these tools were stolen if WikiLeaks hadn't publicly released them. If all it takes is one rogue operative with a history of problematic behavior
So a cringe
to
lord
dismantle their entire system, how secure is national security really?
Chat, that would start really slow, but I actually enjoyed that video. That thing was really good.
Yesterday, big tech changed forever after Google lost the most important legal battle of its life, a fight against the US Department of Justice that started back in 2020, claiming that Google violated US antitrust law and cheated at monopoly. The government called Google a filthy monopolist who used illegal tactics to
What the fuck?
to crush the competition and stifle innovation. Google's lawyers clapped back and said that was outrageous and salacious, but the judge agreed with the feds.
Guilty.
And just like Standard Oil and the American Tobacco Company, Google is now officially required to wear the illegal monopoly dunce cap. But everyone cheats at Monopoly. Apple, Amazon, and Meta are also fighting active antitrust cases. In today's video, we'll find out what these cases are all about, why Google lost its fight, but most importantly, what does this mean for the future of big tech, and how do I get rich off of it? It is August 6, 2024, and you're watching
Wait,
the
hold
Code
on.
Report. Things used to be a lot different back in the 90s. Horses were still the primary mode of
So we can short the stock when we think there's gonna be a verdict and make a massive payout on shorts? Hold on.
transportation.
Hold on.
Hemp was legal, and Coca-Cola still had cocaine in it. But 1890 was also the year the Sherman Act was passed, a law at the time that was targeted at big oil, big tobacco, and big railroad to prevent anti-competitive activities that made it impossible for competitors to enter the market. Google broke Section 2 of the Sherman Act, which had two provisions: the possession of monopoly power and willful acquisition or maintenance of that power that's not a consequence of a superior product. In other words, to break the law, you need to both dominate the market and do so in ways outside of building a better product. Google controls 88% of the domestic search market, and I think most people agree that Google has a superior product. I get way better results from it than Lycos or Excite, and its AI no longer recommends I jump off the Golden Gate Bridge when I'm feeling sad. But Google got into trouble with its exclusivity deals, like when it requires its search engine to be the default on Android devices, its deal with the Mozilla Firefox browser, and its insane deal with Apple where it pays them 36% of search revenue to the tune of $20 billion per year. Basically, the judge said these deals were anti-competitive, and now Google will not pass go and will not collect $200. Well, actually, we don't really know what the penalty is yet, and that's to be continued in a separate trial. I highly doubt it'll be like what JFK said right before he went to Dallas, to shatter Google into 1,000 pieces and scattered into the wind. It is possible Google could be broken up into multiple different entities, like maybe it has to divest Gmail and Android, but the tricky thing about Google is that its search business makes so much money, it's able to subsidize these new projects like Gmail and Android. If Gmail were on its own, we'd probably have to pay $10 a month to use it.
Wait. So sentencing isn't done yet? Oh no, whatever, the verdict
justify abusive business practices, among many other things. You don't become a trillion-dollar tech company by messing with people. It's a fluid cutthroat game. As a tech company, you either go,
But also, if there's a product, what is it?
that didn't deter
You
him.
saved
His
my
obsession with
sister.
hacking overshadowed
Thank
all
you.
else. He neglected high
Feed
school,
on
passed the
desire.
GED exam,
Your
and later
desires
enrolled
could
in a
feed a
technical
nation
school
of
in
such
LA, where he
beasts.
met the
You
woman
sully the sacred architecture of a
Even though
culture
he
you
was
cannot
He
understand.
spent virtually every
All
waking
so you
hour
can
on
say
his
you
computer.
want today.
One of his favorite
Could
targets
that
was
be
Digital
what you're
Media
driving toward?
Corporation, a leading
Do
computer
you have the
company.
audacity
He
to
really wanted
wish
to
for my
source
death?
the recipe for how the
Perhaps
product
you
works
and I
for
can
Deck's
work
new
together.
operating system, VMS, to identify security flaws. He and his friend Lenny DeChico remotely infiltrated Deck to steal the prized source code. But then Lenny betrayed him. When Lenny refused to fold over $150 after losing a bet, Kevin started calling Lenny's employer, pretending to be the IRS, and claiming Lenny was wanted for tax crimes. Lenny was so angry that he told his boss that he and Kevin were hacking into Deck late at night from the office. The FBI got involved, and Lenny started secretly recording his conversations.
The woman kept me here so long. A better fate than my kin suffered. But paradise is a prison when you cannot leave. I would so love to repay the hospitality of those who use my words to carve this city into the screaming surface of reality.
That might seem ridiculous now, but in the 1980s, there was a lot of fear over how technology worked. Computers and the fledgling internet were not that well understood by the general public. So the judge threw Kevin into solitary confinement, where he spent 8 months. When he was ready for release, Bonnie left him. He suspected she was cheating. After hacking into her answering machine, he discovered that she was having an affair with his best friend, Lewis. Despite the betrayal, he remained friends with Lewis, because there were very few people who could understand his predicament. After serving a year in prison, Kevin knew he had to tread more carefully. He needed to ensure his phone couldn't be tracked. He had to find a way of changing the electronic serial number of his Novotel PTR 825. He called Novotel and posed as one of their engineers, even calling from a noisy consumer electronics show in Las Vegas to sound credible. He spoke with an engineering manager named Kumamoto.
There is no end to the
It was
taken.
possible to change the ESN.
You have stolen from them more than
He
they
had
could
a
ever
special
take from
computer
you.
chip containing a special
You are
version of the
destined
firmware.
to fight
Kevin convinced
forever.
Kumamoto to ship a few chips to the Las Vegas hotel where he claimed to be staying. He then called up an electronics store and obtained the ESNs of recently activated phones, allowing him to impersonate those devices on the network. Around this time, Kevin was introduced to a supposed star hacker named Eric through his half-brother's ex-girlfriend. Eric was super secretive. He wouldn't give Kevin his phone number or pager number. They communicated through an intermediary. After talking a few times, Kevin's gut told him something was off. Eric didn't talk like other hackers. He sounded more like Joe Frost, like a cop. He asked questions like, "What projects have you been up to lately? Who are you talking with these days?" He decided to dig deeper into Eric's background. Kevin's friend Dave at Pacific Bell set up a trap with a bait phone number. When Eric dialed in, the call rerouted to Dave's office, allowing them to capture Eric's phone number through the system's caller ID. Using Eric's phone number, he discovered his address. He called Pacific Bell, pretending to be a technician named Terry. When asked for a tech code, Kevin provided a random number. He recalled, "I knew she wasn't going to look it up. They never did. Any 3-digit number would satisfy, so long as I sounded confident and didn't hesitate." Upon requesting the address linked to Eric's phone number, the employee didn't bat an eye. 3636 South Sepulveda, Unit 107B, registered under the name Joseph Wernell. Kevin's doubts deepened when he accessed Eric's call logs and found calls to the Los Angeles headquarters of the FBI.
Yeah, and then whoever
Driven
gets
to unravel
clients
the
is
full
the
story,
next
Kevin
client, so-
devised an elaborate scheme to obtain Eric's social security number. He posed as a member of the Office of the Inspector General at the Social Security Administration, responsible for investigating fraud. To gain credibility, he meticulously researched the agency's internal structure, the names of supervisors and managers, and even learned the company lingo, including terms like mods, short for modules, referring to teams handling claims. A staff member named Ann ate up his lies and gave him anything he wanted. Social security numbers, birth dates, benefits, earnings. Ann's information about an Eric Hines Sr., likely Eric's father, led to a shocking discovery. When Kevin called Eric Hines Sr. and said, "I'm trying to get a hold of Eric. I'm a friend of his in high school," Eric Hines Sr. sounded annoyed and replied, "My son died as an infant." Who really was the person masquerading as Eric Hines Jr.? Kevin remembered Eric bragging about collaborating with hacker Kevin Poulsen. He dug around and found an article about Poulsen conspiring with 2 others to rig radio contests. He recognized the name of one of the co-conspirators, but wasn't familiar with the other, Justin Tanner Peterson. When he manipulated the Department of Motor Vehicles to
spam call on puzzle jump. Level 1 employees that really bypass dumb shit. You just gotta find a way to get a dump button. Here's what it is. Investigators chased him through
You
the
don't hesitate to reach into the deep.
All the while, his poor grandmother
Your kind
waited in
is
the
so
parking lot
brave.
for 3 hours.
Those with
wondering
conviction
what had
fare
happened to
best
her
with my kind.
Kevin later
Like
reflected,
you.
I never
Like
felt
the
guilty
awoken
about
prince.
the information I wasn't
Shining
supposed to.
friends.
But when I thought about my grandmother, who had done so much for me and cared so much for me all my life, sitting there in her car for so long, waiting and anxious, I was filled with remorse. It was hard to leave his beloved grandma and mom, but he knew he had to go on the run. A warrant was out for his arrest for violating his probation by hacking and associating with other hackers. Kevin adopted a new identity, Eric Weiss, the real name of his hero, the magician Harry Houdini. He planned to do his own disappearing act. To solidify his persona, he infiltrated a credit reporting agency to find an Eric Weiss with good credit and around.
So close, friend.
Then he got help.
Find me.
His friend
Kill me.
contacted the
My
Social
heart is
Security
yours.
Administration to gather other personal details of that era. He moved to Denver with a new identity, run by the Lord National Beat, and got a gig in the IT department of a prominent law firm, where he worked by day and was making fun. The fun lay in hacking the world's largest tech companies with presumably the best security. He set his sights on obtaining the source code for one of Motorola's coolest phones, the MicroTac
at the time this must be
He wanted to
much
understand
easier.
how the phone's software worked to try to change the ESN, just as he had done
That was
with his
rolling
Mobile
everybody.
phone. Posing as Rick, from Motorola's research and development team in Illinois, he got Alyssa on the phone, a stand-in for Pam, an assistant to a VP in R&D who was on vacation. He deceived Alyssa by saying that Pam was supposed to send in the source code for the MicroTac Ultralight, but had directed him to Alyssa if she couldn't send it before her holiday. When Alyssa asked, "What version do you want?" Kevin had no clue what to ask for and said, "How about the latest and greatest?"
yeah.
Just like that, Alyssa handed him one of Motorola's most protected trade secrets. Though there was one little hiccup. Kevin had forgotten to fire the compiler to translate the source code into machine-readable code. Still, he was thrilled. Next came Nokia. He posed as an engineer from Nokia USA in San Diego.
The compiler.
And contacted one of Nokia's offices in Finland, where a guy named Tapio transferred the source code for the Nokia 121 via FTP. Surprised by how easy that was, Kevin wondered if he could infiltrate Nokia's internal network to access more source codes and information on upcoming releases. He deceived Nokia England's IT department into giving him the login details to connect to its operating system, which he exploited to gain full system access and create a new user account for himself. Then he set his sights on a secretive digital phone under development, internally called the HD 760. He contacted the lead developer, Marku, persuading him to share the latest source code. However, Nokia blocked outbound file transfers for security reasons, following alerts triggered when Kevin created his new account. Unfazed, he persuaded Marku to ship the source code via a tape drive to a Nokia office in Florida. His friend Lewis would impersonate the senior vice president of Nokia USA to retrieve the tape, as it was too risky for Kevin to go. The package was arranged to be picked up at a remote Nokia office, but the FBI had already been alerted. Kevin became suspicious when he called the hotel to confirm the pickup, and the receptionist seemed nervous and put him on hold for several minutes. Kevin called back later, pretending to be an FBI agent. This is Special Agent Wilson with the FBI. Are you familiar with the situation on your premises? The manager responded, "Of course I am. The police had the whole place under surveillance. It was time to leave and become someone else." He settled on Seattle because of the tech scene, Thai food, and good coffee. He adopted the identity of a baby who died, Brian Merrill, which he obtained by posing as a private investigator at South Dakota State Registrar for Vital Statistics. He had to be extremely careful about hiding his real identity. The front page of the New York Times labeled him Cyberspace's Most Wanted. Kevin felt journalist John Markoff had wrongly turned him into a supervillain. The article was right about one thing. Kevin was eluding the FBI. Special Agent Kanashi confirmed as much in a letter to a British computer expert Kevin had been in contact with. The letter read, in part, "I do not believe we will ever be able to find him via his telephone traces, Telnet, or FTP connections. Your assistance is crucial to this investigation." The crucial assistance the FBI received actually came from Tsutomu Shimamura, known as Shimmy, one of America's most skilled computer security experts. Shimmy joined the FBI manhunt because he was furious that Kevin had hacked into his system. At the time, Shimmy and hacker Mark Latour were working on a special project involving the Oki 900 cell phone. They had reverse engineered it, allowing them to change the ESN via the keypad.
I'm ready.
Eager to learn more, Kevin hacked into Shimmy's server and managed to steal files from his own computer. Shimmy was furious when he discovered an intrusion using Kevin wrote in his memoirs, "I had unleashed a hacker vigilante who would stop Still, it was only a matter of time before
He loses the one he won twice, so he's just gonna cheat. This is dog shit. I hate this story now, man. I hate it.
computer fraud, possession of access devices, and interception of data communications. He served 5 years in prison.
Wait,
when he was released on January 21st, 2000,
what do you mean, for what?
He said, "My case is a case of curiosity."
Mr. Mitnick, thank you for being with us here today.
After his release, his former adversary...
They should have hired him on the spot for pen testing it. This is chat. You're looking at probably one of the most quote famous, right, pen tester in these early times. And if you pen
To be
all
fair,
the
yeah, no, you'll get it back
vulnerabilities in
even if
every
your
big
first
tech
goes
corporate
involved
out there.
you can just
Think about that.
Invited him to share his insights.
The human side of computer security is easily exploited and constantly overlooked. Companies spend millions of dollars on firewalls, encryption, and secure access devices, and it's money wasted because none of these measures address the weakest link in the security chain. The people who use, administer, operate, and account for computer systems that contain protected information.
Kevin became hugely sought after.
Kevin Mitnick is the world's most famous hacker.
Kevin Mitnick is a security consultant and CEO of Mitnick Security.
He used his hacking skills ethically by advising companies on strengthening their security, and also shared helpful everyday advice.
0000000. And voila, stay safe. Don't trust the safes.
Kevin had created a new life for himself and found love again, marrying Kimberly, whom he met at a cybersecurity conference in Singapore. But his happiness would be cut short.
When he hacked into her system and found all...
Kevin received the devastating news that he had
No.
On July 16, 2023, he was 29 years old. Kimberly later expressed, "My son will know you, and in this, he will be unknown." Kevin to the world's most wanted security expert. His insights have changed
one is the same.
companies and individuals protect their most sensitive data. His time reflected his remarkable journey and he said it was genuine. While Kevin never used any of the the reality is not everyone out there would be the same. In 2023, Americans lost 10 billion dollars.
I mean, sure. I mean, look at the day with the leaks for GTA 6. Bro did the whole thing and risked his entire life. What a fucking 5 Bitcoin on screen. Fucking loser. What a fucking dumb fuck.
According to the FTC. And if you've ever Googled their names,
I've waited so long to fulfill
At the very least, isn't it a bit
last
creepy?
wish.
The Cody Co fans tried to defend him by saying that 17
Fetch
and
the heart.
25 is
Hurry.
legal in most U.S. states, or that Tana was just doing this for drama or content. Now, Tana acknowledges that she didn't present herself as a victim in the situation, and was merely just making a joke on stage. However, seeing the reactions from the internet, as well as maturing and taking time to understand her past, made
how's
her
your transcendence
perspective change a little bit.
But there isn't a part of me, at least at 25 now. I mean, I look back and I
Like, are you finished with light?
So I'm like, what the f was wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I don't associate or hold it with trauma because I am such a comparative person where I'm like, so many worse things have happened to me. And that's bad. It feels like all of the other people I hooked up with when I was 18, whether they were 30
Why don't you change
or
to the
whether
call
they
or
were
something
not
so you can
30 and
just
they were my
cross
age,
map them
because
and
I have
guarantee
my
you get it?
feelings towards it, right? And like I'm
Because you don't want to get
expressing
too
those
up and
now,
close with an
and
SMB.
I said that on
You don't
stage
want to
very
risk
much
all
so
that.
as
Just switch to the
just
call
kind
and
I
just...
was being jokey about it and whatever, right? And it's almost like
Don't pick and choose, champ. Don't pick and choose. You're being weird. You're being weird, picky and choosy. Because you don't like her. Like, I think that's odd.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people have been extremely picky about like, oh, this person we're going to send because people don't like him. People don't like him because and then she says something valid, but I don't like Tana though. So fuck her. Like guys, let's not become a fucking bunch of degenerates. Let's not do that.
like the public's reaction to this has made me feel 10
one
different
thing.
types
And then
of
that'll be
ways
it. Then you just have
that I
to stay
didn't
alive.
feel before. Like I have seen so many comments of people like on some like, but what was she wearing? You know what I mean? On some like, well, it's Tana Moja. You know how I feel towards it, but now seeing all of these people like not believe me and say, well, what if she's lying or she's this and she's that and she's dramatic.
And while Tana was openly having this conversation online to her millions of fans, there wasn't an abundance of coverage about it, which is surprising since most of the awareness about a story like this, especially when it involves in this
Spit some bars. Yo, hey Patrick, spit some bars. I did some. Even though you were mad.
Subscribers made a video called conversation about
They were the one to bring it up. Like they were the one to report this, and the person wasn't like on the internet. It was
caused many channels to cover the story, and now some of them are reporting that Cody Co will finally respond, which I will get to, but spoiler alert, response. There are 3 different ways that Cody can respond to the allegations, and each has different outcomes.
It's totally right.
Clear why it is but first, a quick word from today's sponsor, the Bottle Hydrant. Basically something you can trust it. The best check up on them. Features a well-designed carry.
I am glad you did not heed her words. We will finish this.
Suppose
Architect of this city, return to us for the sake of plans to come.
Response
First actual try.
First try after Jordan
It is done. We will meet you on the other side.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, okay. None of us have the
However,
keys, so
this will cause an absolute firestorm on the internet that he will not be able to escape. By making this response, he will be calling Tana Mojo a liar. And Tana definitely has been known to lie and heavily embellish her life for content. Some people look at her as the classic boy who cries wolf. Basically someone who has repeatedly lied so they can't be trusted with anything they say, even if they are telling the truth. And although she does often discuss the deepest parts of her life on her podcast, it would be uncharacteristic for her to make a false allegation of this magnitude on anyone, let alone a major YouTuber. However, if Cody denies, this will